How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances that took place yesterday on Monday, January 24th, 2022. Before I get into that, taking a look at where we are in the calendar year. In terms of college basketball, teams are getting into their conference schedules. There are still a couple teams that are undefeated within their conference. Taking a look at what's going on with professional sports, the NFL playoffs resume on Sunday as there are 4 teams left competing for Super Bowl 56, which will take place in February. Taking a look at what's going on in the NBA, teams are entering the second half of the season as, of course, all-star voting is coming to an end, but, of course, is reaching its heights right about now. And, of course, with soccer, we are entering the second half of the season now that we are officially in the 2022 calendar year. And the African Cup of Nations is now down to 12 teams competing for the title. Now, first, taking a look at what went down with college basketball, there were 2 games that featured teams that were ranked in the top 25. Starting with the 5th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks, they hosted the 13th-ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders. In a game that went to 2 overtimes, Kansas would beat Texas Tech 94-91. Kansas outscored Texas Tech by 6 in the first half. Texas Tech outscored Kansas by 6 in the second. Kansas outscored Texas Tech 19-16 in the combined overtimes. On the losing end of this matchup, the 13th-ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders were led in scoring by their senior starting forward out of Fresno, California. Bryson Wilson finished with 33 points and 5 rebounds in 40 minutes. He shot 14 for 19 from the field, a perfect 4 for 4 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt on the night. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Kansas Jayhawks, the 5th-ranked team in the nation, were led in scoring by their senior guard out of Kansas City, Missouri, Ochai Agbaji. Agbaji would go on to finish with 37 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists in 46 minutes. He shot 13 for 23 from the field, 7 for 12 from 3, and 4 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the 5th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks are 17-2. They are 6-1 in the Big 12. They have the best record in their conference. They are the lone remaining team that has only 1 loss in the conference. With this loss, the 13th-ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders are now 15-5. They are now 5-3 in the Big 10 or in the Big 12 for now. And taking a look at the other game that took place yesterday, the 15th-ranked USC Trojans hosted the unranked Arizona State Sun Devils. USC won this matchup 78-56. The Trojans outscored the Sun Devils by 22 in the game after outscoring them by 7 in the first half and by 15 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 15th-ranked USC Trojans were led in scoring by their starting guard, Drew Peterson. Peterson finished with 16 points and 8 rebounds in 27 minutes. He shot 6 for 8 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he shot 2 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the 15th-ranked USC Trojans are now 17-2. They are now 7-2 in the Pac-12. They are one of 2 teams that have 2 losses so far in the conference. With this loss, the unranked Arizona State Sun Devils are now 6-11. They are now 2-5 in the Pac-12 for now. Taking a look at what's going on today out of the top 25 ranked opponents, at 7 o'clock, there are 3 matchups. On ESPN2, the 9th-ranked Duke Blue Devils, my alma mater, are going to host the unranked Clemson Tigers. Duke enters this matchup with a 5-2 record in the ACC. At the same time, at 7, the 24th-ranked Illinois Fighting Illini are going to host the 10th-ranked Michigan State Spartans at the State Farm Center in Champaign, Illinois. Both teams enter this matchup ranked. This game will be on ESPN. Michigan State enters this matchup with a 6-1 record in the Big Ten, and the hometown Fighting Illini enter this matchup with a 6-2 record in the Big Ten. At the same time, at 7, the 14th-ranked Villanova Wildcats are going to host the unranked DePaul Blue Demons. And entering this matchup, the 14th-ranked Wildcats hold a 7-2 record in the Big East. At 8 o'clock, the 4th-ranked defending champs Baylor Bears are hosting the unranked Kansas State Wildcats. Baylor enters this matchup with a 5-2 record in the Big 12. At 8:30, the top-ranked team in the nation, the Auburn Tigers, are going to go to Missouri to face off against the Tigers in Columbia, Missouri. Auburn enters this matchup with a 7-0 record in the SEC. At 8:30, the 20th-ranked UConn Huskies are going to host the unranked Georgetown Hoyas. UConn enters this matchup with a 4-2 record as Georgetown has yet to win a Big East game. At 9 o'clock, the 12th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats are going to host the unranked Mississippi State Bulldogs. Kentucky enters this matchup with a 5-2 record in the SEC. And last but not least, at 11 o'clock, the 7th-ranked UCLA Bruins are going to host the 3rd-ranked Arizona Wildcats. This matchup is going to be on ESPN in Pauley Pavilion. Arizona enters this matchup with a 6-0 record in the Pac-12. UCLA enters this matchup with a 5-1 record in the Pac-12. Taking a look now at what's going on in the NBA from yesterday's game. Starting off in Cleveland, the Cavaliers hosted the New York Knicks. The Cavs beat the Knicks 95-93. They won this matchup by 2 after they outscored the Knicks by 7 in the third quarter, in addition to their 5-point deficit they created in the first quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the New York Knicks were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of Duke, R.J. Barrett. He finished with 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 16 from the field. On the winning end of this matchup, the Cleveland Cavaliers were led in scoring by their power forward off the bench out of UCLA. Kevin Love finished with 20 points and 11 rebounds in 24 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field, all of his field goals coming from 3. He was 6 for 12 from 3. He shot a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting center, Evan Mobley, finished with 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field. Their starting point guard, Darius Garland, finished with 13 points, 12 assists, 2 steals, and 6 turnovers in 39 minutes. He shot 6 for 19 from the field. With this win, the Cleveland Cavaliers are now 29-19. That is the 5th best record in the East Conference. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. With the 5th best record in the East, they sit a game and a half behind the 1st seed Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference. With this loss, the New York Knicks are now 23-25. That is the 5th worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They sit a game behind the 8th seed Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. Taking a look at what's going on in New Orleans, the Pelicans would host the Indiana Pacers, and the hometown Pelicans beat the Pacers 117-113. They won this matchup by 4 after outscoring the Pacers by 5 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Indiana Pacers were led in scoring by their point guard off the bench, Dwayne Washington Jr. out of Ohio State. He would go on to finish with 21 points in 23 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field. All of his attempts would come from 3 on the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Pelicans were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Devontae Graham out of Kansas. Graham finished with 25 points and 6 assists. He did all this in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard out of Villanova, Josh Hart, finished with 22 points and 10 rebounds in 36 minutes. He shot 6 for 11 from the field and a perfect 9 for 9 from the foul line. With this win, the New Orleans Pelicans are now 18-28. That is the 5th worst record in the Western Conference. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 5 of their last 10. They sit 4.5 games behind the 8th seed LA Lakers out west. With this loss, the Indiana Pacers are now 17-31. That is the 3rd worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've lost their last 2 games. They've lost 7 of their last 10. They sit 7 games behind the 8th seed Boston Celtics. Taking a look at what's going on in Oklahoma City, the Thunder hosted the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls would beat the Thunder by 1. They won it 111-110 after they outscored the Thunder by 8 in the first quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Oklahoma City Thunder were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He finished with 31 points, 3 rebounds, 10 assists, and 3 steals in 39 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 11 for 14 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Chicago Bulls were led in scoring by their former All-Star at center, Nikola Vucevic. He finished with 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 assists, as well as 3 blocks in 39 minutes. He shot 10 for 18 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he shot a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard out of Illinois, Ayo Dosunmu, finished with 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 10 for 14 from the field and 4 for 6 from 3. Their starting shooting guard out of UCLA and former All-Star Zach LaVine finished with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists, as well as 2 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 6 for 19 from the field, and he would shoot 8 for 10 from the foul line. With this win, the Chicago Bulls are now 29-17. And that is currently the second best record in the Eastern Conference, tied with the Brooklyn Nets at the moment. They have won 3 of their last 10 games, as they now sit half a game behind the first seed Miami Heat. With this loss, the Oklahoma City Thunder are now 14-13. That is 14-33. They are tied with the Houston Rockets for the worst record in the Western Conference. The Thunder have now lost their last 6 games. That is the longest losing streak in the NBA. They've lost 9 of their last 10. They currently sit 9 games behind the 8th seed LA Lakers out west. Last but not least, jumping out to Phoenix, the Suns hosted the Utah Jazz. The Suns would beat the Jazz 115-109. They won this matchup by 6 after outscoring the Jazz by 8 in the fourth quarter to overcome their 2-point deficit going in. On the losing end of this matchup, the Utah Jazz were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Jordan Clarkson. Clarkson finished with 22 points and 5 assists, as well as 2 steals in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 20 from the field and 4 for 11 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Phoenix Suns were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Devin Booker. Booker finished with 33 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 38 minutes. He shot 14 for 35 from the field, 3 for 13 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. Their elite starting point guard out of Wake Forest, Chris Paul, finished with 27 points, 9 rebounds, 14 assists, and 7 turnovers in 40 minutes. He shot 10 for 17 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, Cam Johnson, finished with 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt on the night. With this win, the Phoenix Suns are now 37-9. That is currently the best record in the Western Conference. They have won their last 7 games. They've won 9 of their last 10. Their 7-game winning streak is the longest winning streak in the NBA, and they still have the best record in the NBA, considering they are the only team that still has a single-digit amount of losses this season. They are 46 games into their 82-game season. They sit 3.5 games ahead of the second-place Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference. With this loss, the Utah Jazz are now 30-18. That is the 4th best record in the West. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. They sit 8 games behind the first seed Phoenix Suns out west. That is what the NBA is looking like after yesterday's matchups. And taking a look at what's going on today on Tuesday, starting with the primetime matchups at 7:30, the Brooklyn Nets are going to host the Los Angeles Lakers. The Brooklyn Nets are currently holding on to the second best record in the East. They are tied with the Chicago Bulls at the moment. And right now, the Lakers are holding on to the 8th best record in the West. So this is a must-win game for both teams. At 10 o'clock, the Golden State Warriors, who currently hold the second best record in the West, are going to host the Dallas Mavericks, who hold the 5th best record in the West in the Chase Center. Taking a look at the games that aren't on prime time, at 7 o'clock, the Detroit Pistons are going to host the Detroit Nuggets, or the Denver Nuggets in the Little Caesars Arena. At 7 o'clock at the same time, the Toronto Raptors are going to host the Charlotte Hornets at the Scotiabank Arena. At the same time, the Wizards are going to host the Clippers in the Capital One Arena. And at the 7 o'clock, once again, as a makeup from mid-December, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to host the New Orleans Pelicans. At 7:30, the Boston Celtics are going to host the Sacramento Kings at the TD Garden. At 8 o'clock, the Houston Rockets are going to host the San Antonio Spurs from the Toyota Center. And at 10, the Portland Trailblazers are going to host the Minnesota Timberwolves from the Moda Center. Taking a look at what's going on in the world of soccer, the only matchups that took place yesterday were in the Africa Cup of Nations. In the first matchup, Gambia would go on to beat Guinea 1-0 to make Guinea the third team eliminated from the round of 16. Gambia's lone goal will come in the 71st minute from Musa Barrow. And Gambia, of course, would enter this matchup as the second-ranked team in Group F. Guinea entered this matchup after finishing second in Group B, and now Gambia will be the team that advances to the round of 8, the quarterfinals. Taking a look at the second matchup that took place yesterday, Cameroon would face off against Comoros Island. Cameroon would go on to beat Comoros Island 2-1, and after they won, there was kind of an incident that happened outside the stadium because the fans are so happy. They would get their first goal from Karl Toko Ikambi to put them up 1-0. Their second goal came from Vincent Abu Bakr, who scored a goal in every single matchup in AFCON so far. And then Youssef Mchangama would score the only goal for Comoros Islands after they drew a red card in the 7th minute, so they played the majority of their game down a player. But regardless, Cameroon will be the team that punches their ticket to the quarterfinal round. So going into yesterday, there were 14 teams left. As of right now, there are 12. By the end of today, there will be 10. Looking at the first matchup taking place today, Senegal will face off against the Cape Verde Islands. Senegal enters this matchup after finishing at the top of Group B with 1 win and 2 draws in their 3 group stage matches. Cape Verde Islands are going to enter this matchup after finishing 3rd in Group A. They won, drew, and lost one game each for their 3 matchups, as they finished below Cameroon and Burkina Faso in the table. But of course, they will get a chance to advance to the quarterfinal round. And then the second matchup taking place today will feature Morocco, the team that finished at the top of Group C, and Malawi, the team that went on to finish 3rd in Group B under Senegal and Guinea. And after this matchups are played today, there will only be 2 more matchups of the round of 16 left before we get into that quarterfinal round. But with that said, that's everything that I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 17, 18 minutes of this piece. I want to thank the ESPN, NCAA, NFL, NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures in order to do this piece. And with that said, I do apologize for all the names that I butchered. I do plan on getting them right. Once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Wednesday, January 26th. And until then, I want to thank everyone once again, and I'll catch you with another piece tomorrow. Peace out.